And CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now to discuss more on the debt ceiling. Weijia, great to see you. So is the White House satisfied with this tentative agreement? We heard President Biden speak a little earlier today, and we heard you ask some questions of him.
Matt, it's great to be with you. And I would say, yes, they have to be satisfied with this agreement since they brokered it. But of course, they're not channeling that exact message because they are very well aware of the pushback, especially from some progressive members of their caucus. And so they are trying to explain why this is, in fact, a good deal, why the Democrats did in fact get something and not nothing other than raising the debt ceiling. So the president himself expressed optimism just a short time ago, as you mentioned, as he left the White House here. And, you know, he says he's continuing outreach. He's calling members up himself, having tough conversations about, you know, why they need to pass this bill.
Yeah, so some Democrats in the progressive wing of the party seem to not be so happy about it. Again, people on the president's side when it comes to politics. So what are they concerned about?
Well, they are on his side, and that's exactly what they're pointing out, that when they supported him, he agreed not to roll back some of these programs that are now on the table, especially when it comes to programs like the SNAP program, formerly known as the food stamp program that assists people who need help there. They have a lot of concerns, not only about new work requirements for that program, but also for pieces of their climate agenda, feeling like there's not enough protection there, as well as the rescinded COVID relief funds, about $30 billion that have already been approved but now allocated will now go back to the budget. And there is concern there because, of course, those COVID relief funds were not only to address the emergency portion of the pandemic, which is now over, but to help many struggling Americans who found themselves in a tough spot because of the pandemic. So I think the president and several White House staffers have some tough questions ahead and some explaining to do about why, you know, they came to the agreement that they did.
Well, speaking of tough questions, as I mentioned, you asked President Biden earlier about that pushback from progressives. So let's listen to what he had to say to you.
Have you talked to Congresswoman Jayapal, and do you think you can get progressives on board?
The answer is I don't know. I have a good relationship with Jayapal. I haven't had a chance to speak to her yet.
So, Weijia, what plans does the White House have in order to get those Democrats, however many there are, on board with this plan?
So just to be clear, Congresswoman Jayapal is the leader of the Progressive Caucus. This is the group that is resisting so far. They haven't outright said that they're not going to vote for the deal, but they certainly are expressing their concerns about it every chance they get. And you heard just there that President Biden said he has yet to speak with her after the deal came to fruition. And he was very blunt in saying he wasn't sure. He said, I don't know, when I asked if he thought he could get progressives on board. But there is a ton of outreach, Matt, not only from the president himself, but from real heavy hitters here at the White House to try to convince Democrats to vote for this bill. We're talking about Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, of course, the three negotiators that put this bill together, including the Budget Director Shalanda Young, John Podesta, who is in charge of all things climate here on the agenda. So they are making one-on-one phone calls to members. In fact, more than 60 in recent days, and that number has just continued to go up with each passing hour. They're also holding specific briefings for Democrats. Today there were briefings, tomorrow there are more briefings to answer any questions that they have about the inner workings of this deal, because again, at the end of the day, even though they have an agreement, if they don't have the votes, it doesn't matter. So this entire week is going to probably be devoted to really making that push because the X date, the deadline for when the U.S. Could default, as the Treasury Secretary said, is now June 5th. That is very close.
It is 1 week from today. All right, Weijia Jiang at the White House. Weijia, thanks so much.
You're welcome.